Forbes India Small Business Summit, presented by PhonePe Payment Gateway.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Let me quickly start. What is driving the growth of MSMEs in Madhya Pradesh today? What are the tailwinds and how can this growth be accelerated further?
I think Madhya Pradesh is really doing well. And I would like to just mention I was the secretary MSME department some time back, and after the so-called good work that I have done, government has actually moved me to another department to do better work there.
Yeah.
So when we launched the MSME, and when we launched the startup policy of Madhya Pradesh in 2002, I will first mention about the startups and also then about
Sure.
the MSMEs. So we were having 1,803 startups that is recognized by Government of India. Today we have 4,602. Okay. एक बार ताली बजाओ मध्य प्रदेश आप लोग बहुत सा many of those guys who actually have established, and we had 764 women-led startups. Now we have 2,166
That deserves a bigger applause.
women-led startups.
Women-led
so
startups.
it's almost 40 to 45%. So when it comes to MSME, the growth of MSMEs, see MSMEs, I was listening to a lot of panelists just now, one of the sessions that you were anchoring. See, startups and the MSMEs have done tremendously well in the last 4 years. And the growth story of startups in India, and I would say that startups now have, startups and MSMEs have become the backbone of Indian economy as far as growth is concerned, employment is concerned, and most importantly, what is driving India is hope. So startups are the hope, I would say. And in Madhya Pradesh, we have progressed tremendously well in the last 4 to 5 years. And I would like to mention here that whether it is urban Madhya Pradesh or rural Madhya Pradesh, to many of those who are sitting here or to those who feel that how much growth really would startups and MSMEs take in rural India especially, I would like to mention here that after another 10 years, you will hardly see any difference between rural and urban.
Wow.
That is the phenomenon across the world that we are seeing, especially in developing countries and countries like India, where our growth rate is almost 7 to 8%. So I would like you to go and see, and most of you must be traveling. Go to Karnataka, go to Telangana, go to Maharashtra or Gujarat. And most of the roads, when you travel, you hardly see any difference that is actually there in urban and rural. So there is an urban-rural continuum which is actually developing. So first, we need to get out of this whole thing that there is going to be a major difference between urban and rural.
Okay.
So Madhya Pradesh, मैं आप सब लोगों को बताऊंगा कि भोपाल और इंदौर के बीच में 3 साल पहले 4 साल पहले कितने मोटेल्स थे और कितने डाबास थे. अभी कितने डाबास हैं आप लोग खुद ही देख रहे होंगे कि पहले जो है ना एक ही डोरी में रुकना पड़ता था, उसके बाद आगे बढ़ सकते थे. अभी आप देखो कि हर 100 मीटर पे, हर किलोमीटर पे you will find a dhaba or a motel. So these are also startups and these are also MSMEs that is actually driving the growth of Madhya Pradesh.
All right. My next question, sir, how can Madhya Pradesh balance the need for headline corporate investments with MSME growth priorities? How are you doing that?
See, corporate investments and MSMEs, they go in, it's a shared vision, it's a shared platform, and they complement each other actually. See, corporate investments, so when we talk about corporate in the sense the big ones or the so-called big ones, and when we talk about the MSMEs, the so-called small ones or the middle ones. And I'm telling you these days that what we are seeing is like the Kimerica growth story that we talk about 10 years before they were MSME, today they are a big brand and no longer a MSME. And I may see that after 10 years, you may not see Kimerica actually. You might see something else in place of Kimerica. I'm just making you make a point to be noted here is that the growth of MSMEs is not going to be limited to actually reaching a particular point. The growth of MSMEs is also to transform. I mean, I would only mention that Kimerica would convert itself into something else and become a much bigger story than what we are talking about today. So, don't limit MSMEs to only MSME. Here, it is what I say is a shared vision or a shared platform or a shared platform where it is something which is transforming one to another. I was just looking at Anubhav Dubey, who's started the Chai Sutta Bar. I just want to mention here that whenever I go to my native place in Telangana, I used to see some similar kind of Chai Sutta Bar called by name Tea Time. Okay, so Tea Time. So I used to see why, this guy suddenly erupted and he's just, you see every kilometer there is a tea time. When I travel towards Andhra Pradesh, I saw tea time. When I travel towards Tamil Nadu with my family for some religious program, I saw tea time. And suddenly in 2024, that fellow is a member of parliament now, you know. He's sitting in the parliament, he's become a member of parliament.
He's the next
So
one.
I'm not telling that don't get into this wrong thing that it's a wrong platform to jump into. I'm not saying that whether it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is a transformation. See the potential. A tea time guy who's actually been able to establish himself from a small, startup, so-called startup, to an MSME, to an entity where he is able to make himself, his valuation reach to a level wherein he has shifted from one ladder to the other. So here everybody needs to understand is that the ladder of MSME is limited. Whereas if you want to jump onto the bigger platform, you need to actually jump onto a bigger ladder. So this is where the complement lies. So you need to be able to envision yourself as to आपका जो लैडर है कितने सीढ़ियां हैं उसमें कहाँ तक चढ़ सकते हो ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. उसके बाद उसका एंड आ जाता है, उसके बाद आपको दूसरे ऐसे लैडर पे कूदना होगा जिसकी और भी सीढ़ियां हैं. So this is where we are trying to see to it that our corporate and our MSMEs complement each other, share the vision, and are able to actually, the MSMEs need to transform to the corporate entities.
Very beautifully put, sir, and I love the analogy given by you. My next question is, how can the state leverage its geographical location, which is in the heart of the country, to turn into a base for nationwide growth led by MSMEs?
Oh, like we are the, the biggest advantage for Madhya Pradesh that I see is we are centrally located. And like our human body, I mean, like the heart is centrally located, and rightfully so, because the arteries and veins have to, pump blood. So also Madhya Pradesh needs to actually move, either moving of goods are concerned, or, I mean, we are one of the largest states with huge land potential, resource potential. So we need to focus on our strengths, and that is what Madhya Pradesh is looking at. Like many of the states don't have that kind of advantage what Madhya Pradesh has. So what we are looking at, with reasonably good population and with huge resources that we have at our hand, and what we are seeing is whether it is the train routes or the or the road routes, or most of these routes are crisscrossing Madhya Pradesh. We see the potential, and after the GST regime, I keep telling these things, is now it's no longer, it doesn't make any difference whether you are in Indore, or you are in Bhopal, or in Jabalpur, or you are in Mumbai or Kolkata. So that advantage Madhya Pradesh is looking at, and we are very hopeful that at least now, for now, you look at most of the North Indian states, Madhya Pradesh is one of the most important states, and the growth that you're looking at vis-a-vis other states, Madhya Pradesh is faring much better.
All right. So I also want to talk to you about the advantages of the cluster-focused development, which is prevalent across Madhya Pradesh, and what needs to change to grow this further.
See, Madhya Pradesh has come up with the cluster-based policy, and most importantly, um, we see a lot of literature that is available and worldwide also. A lot of this cluster-based development has happened. So the difference between a cluster-based development and a routine multi-product based development, what we see is that in a cluster-based development, the kind of units that come across and the kind of people that get attached to that particular cluster, there's a pressure group. There is a group which have a, they would want that the product is same, and in that particular cluster, their ability to actually talk to the government, talk to the market is much more than what multi-product based industries or industrial areas actually are growing. For example, I would like to mention, like, say, Betul furniture cluster. So Betul furniture cluster, I would want somebody more, I mean, you should go and see the way it is actually developing. Betul has extremely good teak-based wood. So there is enormous amount of wood which is available, and there are already furniture-based units which are working over there. They came together and are establishing a furniture-based cluster over there. And in that particular area, the saw machine, there's ARA machine which is called. So we have given permission for the ARA machine to be established in that particular cluster itself. We have come up with, we have asked them to actually develop combined technology that actually can be used by each and every unit put together. So these kind of resources can be mobilized only in a cluster-based thing, whereas in other kind of industrial areas, that kind of resources cannot be mobilized. That's what I would say. We should go for more and more cluster-based approach.
All right. So let me now shift your focus to the skills gap. What are the major skill gaps that MSMEs today in Madhya Pradesh face, and how can these be overcome and addressed through training and development programs?
I feel that, see, there is going to be this skill gap related issue for a long time. But what is more important is definitely the government is making its own efforts. We have come up with Global Skill Park in Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal, and there is a lot of tie-ups which are happening with many industrial bigwigs as far as skill enhancement is concerned. There is a lot of work which is going on employability of engineering students in engineering colleges, in diploma engineering colleges. But I would still feel that there has to be a lot of efforts that needs to be put in by corporate entities, NGOs, or organizations which need to come in to bring in, come in to ensure that this skill gap is minimized. It cannot alone be done by government. It cannot be done by government. So we need to actually work together to ensure that the skilling part is taken care of, especially the skilled manpower at the lower rung is where we are facing a lot of problems. Like the Vishwakarma Yojana by Government of India is a very, very great step, I would say, to ensure that they are given not only training, they are also given implements. What I am missing out in this whole process is that private sector, corporate sector, or sector, those who are wishing that there has to be skill enhancement, are not themselves making an effort to come forward to actually do this, bridge this particular gap. So maybe that is something we need to work together
yeah.
to ensure that the skilling is done more and more effectively.
All right, let me now quickly talk about the administrative and the regulatory hurdles. We had a lot of founders here talk about that they don't have the awareness of what the government is doing, what they should be looking at, a problem of plenty. So how would you address the regulatory challenges of MSMEs in Madhya Pradesh? How can these be simplified for them?
Well, we have done a lot of work on this in this area. See, our own, whether it is our startup policies, our MSMEs policies, all these policies we have actually devised after a lot of discussion with the stakeholders, the those particular groups who actually matter for this particular sector. But what I'm also saying is that, see, there's going to be, as rightly mentioned, there's going to be some amount of regulatory work which cannot be escaped out of it. While I'm saying this, I'm also saying that there is now huge amount of awareness which is coming up. And what I would also mention is that I keep telling this many a number of times. I keep telling everybody many a number of times is that मंजिल तो मिल ही जाएगी भटकते हुए सही, गुमराह तो वो है जो कभी घर से निकला ही नहीं. तो lot of times what we see is ये जो गुमराह होने वाली बातें हैं ना, तो आप घर से तो निकलो पहले. भैया घर से निकलोगे तो कहीं तो पहुंचोगे. आप घर से निकलना ही नहीं चाहते हो और ये कहना चाहते हो कि बहुत रेगुलेटरी वर्क है, बहुत पेपर वर्क है, बहुत भटकना पड़ता है, बहुत घूमना पड़ता है, चप्पल घिस घिस के काम करना पड़ता है, तब जाके कहीं पहुंचते हैं. बट आई एम येट टू कम अप विद समबडी जिसने स्ट्रगल किया नहीं हो. आप किसी एक आदमी को तो मुझे बताओ जिसने स्ट्रगल किया नहीं और कहीं पहुंच गया हो. एक आदमी को तो मुझे बताइए. So, but what I'm saying is that there are a lot of change which is happening, and together we are making these changes happen. We need to, yes, bring down compliances, minimum compliances, and there is so much of work happening in that particular area. And the most important thing that I always tell whenever I come to this kind of gathering is, भाई आपको तकलीफ है कि एक आपके लैपटॉप पे बैठो, डेस्कटॉप पे बैठो, कम से कम मेल तो लिखो कि भाई आपको क्या तकलीफ हो रही है, किस तरह की तकलीफ हो रही है, कितने चप्पल आपको घिसने पड़े तब जाके आपका काम हुआ. कम से कम लिखो तो सही. देयर आर पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली वांटिंग टू लिसन टू. आप लिखिए. इफ यू आर फाइंडिंग अ प्रॉब्लम, राइट. इफ यू आर फीलिंग दैट देयर इज अ सॉल्यूशन दैट यू कैन एक्चुअली ऑफर, जस्ट टेक इट अप, write it down and send it to the right guys. There is somebody who's always trying to listen to you. That is what we should make a concrete effort. I am very sure that a lot of these things can come down over a period of time. Seeing there are people who have not, अगर आप ये कह सकते हो कि मैंने डिग्री किया ही नहीं, मैंने जो है ना 1000 करोड़ की कंपनी बनाई है, तो आई विल बी वेरी हैप्पी अगर आपने ऐसा किया है तो. बट कुछ तो पढ़ना होगा. ऐसा भी नहीं कि कुछ पढ़े ही नहीं और आप कुछ बहुत बढ़ना चाहते हो, ऐसा भी नहीं हो सकता. Somewhere or the other we need to actually move in that particular direction.
Very, very valuable insight. There is someone listening, so guys, please do write and speak out and offer solutions. So, you've touched upon this, but if you could elaborate further on the kind of incentives that the Madhya Pradesh government or the state is offering for MSMEs.
I mean, see, Madhya Pradesh is a pioneer. Madhya Pradesh अभी जितना दे रहा है, we give 40% of incentive subsidy on the total amount of plant and machinery that you establish. Then over and above, in 4 years' time, 25% each every year for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, women, all those things. अभी मैंने एक होमवर्क किया था, मतलब बैठ के हमने ये बनाया था कि अगर कोई मान लो 10 करोड़ इन्वेस्ट करेगा, the return on investment provided that आप मिनिमम अमाउंट ऑफ स्टॉक भी सेल करेंगे. मिनिमम. लिसन टू दिस वेरी केयरफुली. समबडी जिसको अकाउंट्स आता है वो इजीली समझ जाएगा, मैं समझ सकता हूं कि इफ यू इन्वेस्ट 10 crores and if you are taking 40% subsidy on the plant and machinery that Madhya Pradesh government is giving, and if you are able to sell a stock minimum on whatever you are able to produce, minimum production तो करना पड़ता है, उसमें एक clause है. I am telling you that the return on investment is nearly 250% of whatever you are investing in Madhya Pradesh. यानी कि अगर मिनिमम प्रोडक्शन करके भी सेल करोगे, 5 साल में आप 250 गुना आप अर्न करोगे मध्य प्रदेश में विद गवर्नमेंट इंसेंटिव्स. सो एंड ओवर एंड अबव अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट करोगे तो और भी कमाओगे. सो माय रिक्वेस्ट टू यू इज दैट प्लीज लुक एट द पॉलिसी वेरी केयरफुली, बिकॉज क्या हो रहा है तो धीरे धीरे क्या होता है, सरकारें भी समझदार है ना, हम लोग भी समझदार है ना, IAS बन के पढ़ के आए हैं, फिर हम लोग को समझ में आ गया तो 100 रुपए लगा रहा है और 250 रुपए कमा रहा है, तो सब्सिडी कम करो. हाँ, ऐसे ही होता है ना. तो बिफोर वी बिकम स्मार्ट देन यू, बेटर यू एक्चुअली पुट अप योर MSME और कमा लेना. ठीक है. सो So other states are not giving that kind of incentive what Madhya Pradesh is giving. But yes, there could be issues. There could be issues pertaining to raw material, resources, lot of other things. But what I am saying is make an effort to see to it that what is that better we are offering to you.
All right. So one final topic that I would like to touch is how can Madhya Pradesh attract capital to build capacity?
Oh, see, we are making enormous efforts. Today, I'm thankful to Raja Sharma ji, who's called me over here. While my entire state government is in Sagar today.
Yes.
And my chief minister, my entire honorable chief minister, everybody from the state government, honorable ministers, everybody are in Sagar. And there's a regional investors summit over there. See, we are making all necessary efforts to ensure that we tell many a number of those guys from within the country, outside the country to come and invest. बट मैं आप लोगों से कहता हूं कि जो ओरिजिनल मध्य प्रदेशी है भाई खुद भी इन्वेस्ट करना भाई अपने इलाके में खुद भी इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हो एंड देयर आर सो मेनी पॉसिबिलिटीज एंड वी आर सीइंग दैट लॉट ऑफ दीस थिंग्स हैपनिंग एंड सी you need to see we will make our efforts to see to it that maximum investment comes to Madhya Pradesh and their efforts are in the right direction, I would say. Because you see many states doing many such efforts and we are also making it. But the best guy who knows about Madhya Pradesh is Madhya Pradeshi. You know the resources, you know the right persons to tap, you know how to navigate the system, at least you know somebody that you can go and approach. So what I would like to mention is that anybody from Madhya Pradesh should make a concrete effort to invest within Madhya Pradesh. See, we are the largest, I'm giving you just solutions, you know. There could be many possibilities. We are the largest producer of wheat in the country. We are the largest producer of pulses in the country. We have the largest forest coverage in the country, which no other state has, in the sense we have teak, we have sal, we have the best forest produce in this country. And there is humongous possibility of food processing industry in this country. यार देखो सबको सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर ही नहीं बनना है यार देखो ये भी सोचना है सबको सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर नहीं बनना है सबको मतलब रतलामी सेम ही नहीं बनाना है कुछ और भी ट्राई कर सकते हैं हम लोग एंड toy industry or furniture industry, I keep repeatedly saying that Honorable Prime Minister has said this. Why should we import from China, Indonesia, so many other countries? Why can't we export from here? So there are enormous potentials. Don't go by, only one. मतलब दो तीन ही करूँगा इसके अलावा मैं करूँगा ही नहीं. Don't take these kind of things into consideration. See to it where the market lies, possibilities, and niche areas where you need to see to it that this is where nobody is working, where I can work and I can actually come up and do better things and make real good in this particular sector. So there are enormous possibilities that I would like to mention here.
All right, so on that note, we'll have to wrap up our conversation, but I'm sure I speak for everyone in this room. We would have loved to carry on this conversation. Thank you for being so candid and for your valuable insights and most importantly for taking out time to join us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Forbes India Small Business Summit, presented by PhonePe Payment Gateway.